Kanye, how would you describe your album?
Man, I feel like it's a breath of fresh air.
Right now, the entire world has their eyes and ears on Kanye West. It seems that everything the man touches grabs more and more attention from either his fans or his haters. But today, we will focus on the recent Netflix documentary produced about Kanye, a documentary that was 20 years in the making. This is 10 Things You Missed in Jeen-yuhs Episode 1. Number 1. Opening scene. Interestingly, the opening of Jeen-yuhs opens in 2020 before taking us back to the 90s. This opening scene was recorded in the Dominican Republic. Kanye is joined by Rhymefest, a figure we see later on in the documentary when Kanye and him are much younger. In this scene, Kanye is rapping in a mumbled style. This is not intentional and is a method Kanye uses when creating music. He raps the finished parts and mumbles along to the flow of the song in parts he hasn't finished creating lyrics for yet. In this scene, Kanye is wearing the famous bulletproof vest from the Donda listening parties, except this is a different camo version, possibly the same vest he wore during his campaign speech later that year. During this scene, Kanye writes out a tweet which links a video of Dennis Rodman, a controversial basketball star who was thanking him for a pair of Yeezys Kanye sent to him. Rodman is famous for his relationship with dictator Kim Jong-un, making him a fittingly controversial figure for Kanye to associate with. Number 2. No ID. As the episode starts, we're introduced to Kanye during his early days. At this point, he's just a producer and aspiring rapper. Although this is explored in the documentary, there is little focus on Kanye's producing life before the camera begins rolling. There are two main mentors Kanye followed as he developed his beatmaking style, Doug Infinite and No ID. One of Kanye's songs includes the lyric, "No ID, my mentor, now let the story begin."
Who is hip-hop brother? Who is No ID friend? No ID, my mentor, now let the story begin.
No ID, who was also from Chicago, had the prestigious title of the Godfather of Chicago rap, according to Complex.com. The story goes that Kanye's mother, Donda, knew No ID and had met him at a party they both attended. Knowing Kanye was eager to get into producing, she asked if she could send Kanye to him so that he would be able to teach Kanye the basics. It's clear at this time No ID saw Kanye as more of an annoyance and just wanted him to get off his back. Instead of teaching Kanye like he had hoped, No ID presented Kanye with extremely hard and challenging music production tasks week after week after week. Yet week after week, Kanye would return with finished beats, proving not only how talented he was, but how hardworking he was. No ID was the mentor that truly allowed Kanye to get the ball rolling with his producing abilities. Number 3. Channel Zero. In the late 90s, a young filmmaker and comedian Cootie Simmons was approached with the idea of making a public access channel show called Channel Zero. In the 90s, a public access channel was a much easier way to get your show put on television. Cootie was originally going to make the show focus on the fans leaving hip-hop concerts, interviewing them to see what they had thought of the show they had just came out of. Cootie instead had the bright idea of actually going into the concerts and interviewing the aspiring performing artists. This is where we get iconic clips of him interviewing Kanye, Lil Bow Wow, and the late Kobe Bryant. Number 4. The Go-Getters. Before he became a solo artist producer, Kanye was actually a part of a hip-hop group known as the Go-Getters. This group consisted of GLC, Timmy G, and Aerostar, and of course Kanye. The group was managed by Don C and John Monopoly. Kanye and John Monopoly had a long history that dated back in 1990 when Monopoly and Kanye were both teenagers. Monopoly actually stated, "I quit making beats 9 months after meeting Kanye because he was so good, and it was like, why am I even doing this?" Number 5. The Blueprint. The documentary quickly glosses over Kanye's work on Jay-Z's album The Blueprint. Kanye produced just under half of this record, and it was incredibly important for his credibility within the production industry. Working on this album took him to new heights, and it will be the defining factor in him joining Roc-a-fella Records. A particular scene shows Kanye explaining to Donda what it was like to be in the studio playing the beat for Izzo for Jay-Z.
On his head, then he looked over, he tapped him his head. H to the SO, V to the is A, for shizzle, my nizzle, used to triple down to VA.
It's clear that Kanye was nervous to be around his idol Jay at the time, mentioning how he was unsure when to play his beats in order to not ruin the mood of the studio session. The Blueprint went on to be ranked number 50 on Rolling Stone's top 500 albums of all time. Number 6. MTV exposure. Kanye desperately wanted to be seen on MTV's You Hear It First. The incredibly popular show that aired from 2001 to 2007 showcased dozens of popular artists before they rose to fame. Recognizable names like Alicia Keys, Coldplay, Rihanna, The Killers, My Chemical Romance, and many more were featured on MTV's You Hear It First. The show was clearly incredibly important for growing artists to get some much needed exposure and to be recognized by the world at large. Number 7. Mos Def. One character that is repeatedly shown throughout the documentary is Mos Def, or as he's known today, Yasin Bey. At the time of the documentary, Mos Def had already shown himself to be an incredibly successful artist. In 1999, long before we see him in the documentary, he released an album called Black on Both Sides. It reached 25 on the Billboard Top 200, as well as having a charting single, Miss Fat Booty. During the documentary, it seemed as if everyone failed to see Kanye's talent at the time. Everyone except Mos Def and a few others. In every scene Mos Def appears in, he's overwhelmingly positive toward Kanye's music and vision. Incredibly refreshing to see at a time when Kanye was surrounded by haters. Mos Def was featured on the song 2 Words on The College Dropout.
2 words, United States, no love, no breaks, low brow, high stakes, crack smoke, black folks, Big Macs, fat folks.
More recently, Mos Def was featured under the name Yasin Bey on the album Kids See Ghost that released in 2018, telling us that Kanye and Yasin have stayed in touch over the years. Number 8. Scarface's Big Mistake. Legendary rapper Scarface makes an appearance when he takes a short-lived visit to the studio Kanye was working in. Kanye plays in 2 beats he has with him, Jesus Walks, and another track, Family Business. Scarface is quick to dismiss the beat to Jesus Walks, calling it, quote, hard for me.
But you can do that chorus though? That's a hard one for me.
Based on his initial reaction in the documentary, it's clear that Scarface was doubtful of the track's religious aspects, as well as the beat sample. Scarface is clearly embarrassed by this because in an interview with DJ Vlad in 2015, he claimed that he was supposed to be on Jesus Walks, and he said that he had no idea why he walked out.
Yo, you know the Jesus Walk song?
Yeah.
That was the song that I was supposed to be on for Kanye.
What?
Scarface still got the opportunity to work with Kanye, mentioning in the interview that they have many songs together. Also, Kanye and Mike Dean worked together on The Fix, which was Scarface's first album released for Def Jam. Number 9. Black Tail. Whilst walking around New York City while being recorded, Kanye goes to a newsstand and candidly asks the man behind the stand for a Black Tail. Black Tail is an adult magazine sold during the 2000s, however, the magazine isn't the true focus here. It's more so interesting because it's the start of a timeline of Kanye's open relationship with the adult industry. In 2018, Kanye West went on Jimmy Kimmel and stated, "Nah, I still watch a little porn."
Nah, I still look at Pornhub and...
In that same year, Kanye West attended the Pornhub Awards alongside Lil Pump. In the documentary, Kanye states, "I got a little addiction, man."
I got a little addiction, man. Y'all might have to cut this off.
Something he reiterates over a decade later in a BBC interview with Zane Lowe, admitting he used to have a full-on porn addiction, claiming, "My dad left the Playboy out when I was age 5. It's affected me ever since."
My dad had a Playboy left out at age 5.
And number 10, Dame Dash's chain. In the episode's closing scene, we see Kanye on stage during the Roc-a-fella Dynasty tour. Watching the documentary, it would appear that all is well with Kanye's initiation into the rock, although in the interviews since the event, Dame Dash revealed there was more at play behind the scenes. According to Dame, at the time, Kanye was an artist Jay-Z wasn't 100% behind in those days. According to Dame, he and the Bigs, Kareem Burke, would vote together, and that's how Kanye became a part of the label. So on the night we see in the documentary, where Kanye and the rest of the Roc-a-fella group are on stage, Dame reportedly told Jay, "Yo, announce him." Jay-Z didn't want to. He told Dame Dash, "You do it." So instead of Jay-Z giving his chain to Kanye as part of initiation tradition, Dame Dash gave his chain to Kanye, his own chain with canary yellow diamonds. Dame Dash has since joked in interviews about hoping Kanye still has the chain so he can get it back. And that's 10 things you didn't know about Jeen-yuhs episode 1. If you think we missed anything, leave a comment down below. If you liked the video, leave a like, and check back here and subscribe for more facts about Jeen-yuhs, Kanye, and hip hop.